All right, you're good to go.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this session. We're excited to talk to you a little bit about our research around ungrading and instructor experiences.
And throughout our presentation, you're more than welcome to use the chat, but feel free to unmute as well and interrupt us at any point if you've got questions. And this is definitely a discussion, so there'll be some time for your own reflections and thoughts to come out as well.
Yeah, so just a quick introduction. I'm Karen Bunch Franklin. I work at the Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Georgia. And I started ungrading, gosh, it feels like 5 or 6 years now, maybe a little longer. And when I first started this journey, Tyler was also starting it. And so we just kind of been partnered together, thinking about our own reflections along this, as well as looking at student experiences.
And I'm Tyler Watts. I'm at Mercer University, also in Atlanta, Georgia. And as Karen shared, this was kind of a shared journey for us, taking slightly different approaches, but getting to share along the way of what was happening in our courses. We both teach online, largely at the graduate level. And so it was a chance for us to uh, really share those experiences, share what was happening with our students, and learn some strategies along the way.
So we first want to start with just kind of a brief introduction around how we're looking at alternative grading. Um, so it's kind of a unique experience for students in a course. It has a new path for us as faculty to think about how we may reimagine our teaching, our assessment, and even how we evaluate students. One of the things we found is that when we transition to an alternative grading, there is a range of choices and emotions that can be a part of that. And it really kind of prompts you to take that deep, deep reflection on your teaching. And so, one of the things we wanted to look at here is in what ways does that shift really impact how faculty approach teaching and learning?
And one of the things we kind of like to start with is you may be saying, well, I've never done ungrading or I've never done an alternative grading approach. And it may be that as we start describing some of these kind of the spectrum of options within alternative grading, that you may find yourself using some of these approaches, even though you may not have called it ungrading or alternative grading. So this is from Sarkanek, has a great article called The Ungrading Spectrum. And if we think about kind of on that far left side, the traditional events-based grading where we given a letter grade or a particular percentage, that's kind of what we may be all familiar with. But within that spectrum, and kind of this is going from graded to grade less, and we'll talk about kind of what grade less might be defined as. That might include standards-based grading or specifications or contract grading to kind of where Karen and I would probably situate ourselves to this ungraded collaborative grading space, and then even to a farther spectrum than I think we might feel comfortable with of student determined grades. And so we want to welcome kind of all of those within this conversation, and especially as we get to the discussion, we hope that you see some approaches that hopefully align with what you're doing in online spaces or how you're supporting faculty and thinking about assessment.
We also wanted to share just a little bit before we get into the overall discussion about our own experiences and some of the things that we noted as we were transitioning to and continuing to refine our alternative grading strategies. One big thing was motivation, and I think that's what drove us to alternative grading. For me, that meant uh, having students that would have a really fantastic project and get a 98 because maybe they had a citation wrong. And they would all they I gave them this fantastic like 3 or 4 paragraphs of feedback, and their only response was, "What do we have to do to get 100?" And so they were so focused on that grade that they didn't even realize that they had done like really stellar work. And so it just was pushing me, motivating me to find a way to get students to really start focusing on the course and the content and what they were learning versus what number they were receiving.
Kind of similar to Karen, kind of my own motivations was driven largely coming out of the pandemic and what our students were experiencing during that time. So having students that were emailing from, hospitals or taking care of loved ones or dealing with sick kids and just the thinking about kind of the whole person and how I could kind of in that moment be thinking about, well, what are the kind of logistical things of how important is a due date at that point for them, or even students feeling like they had to drudge up some of this trauma to justify why they weren't performing as they hoped they would expect. So that was kind of part of it, is just thinking about how can I use assessment as a form of care and as a form of approaching students in that way. And then I think kind of similar to what Karen was sharing, but a little bit from my own perspective, I started doing ungrading at the doctoral level, and it was always a question of, well, is this an A because they're demonstrating what it means to be a doctoral level student and that they're kind of at that point where they're ready to be like a colleague to myself? Or is this an A because in their first year as a doc student, they're meeting exactly what I would expect them to do? And what is that grade communicating to them? My worry was it's communicating the former, that they're ready for the hooding and moving on, when really what I was probably communicating was that you're meeting exactly where I would expect you to be as a first year doctoral student. And so how that grade gets communicated, and then as Karen shared, what the reaction to that is, were some of the reasons I think that we started really fundamentally unpacking what grading looked like in our courses.
Yeah, and I mean, there were some bumps in the road as well. Did have challenges when we first started out, communication challenges, having conferences with students or not having conferences with students. Really trying to fine tune that. Building trust with students is really critical. And so just a lot of different ways that we kind of were able to talk about it together and work through those challenges. But in the end, it ended up giving significant freedom. Just removing that grade and that number just allowed me to really focus on what I wanted for my students and how they could be full. And that showed at the end of the semester because my students would tell me through either end of course evaluations or just outright email me and say things like, I've never felt like a professor actually cared about me or my learning until this class, or I've never experienced such a um, deep dive into content before. Like I've always done things on the surface level, like memorize, move forward. And this class really taught me how to think deeply. And so that freedom, not only did I feel it, but my students felt it as well.
Just building on that, I think for both of us, one of the really positive experiences thinking about that element of freedom is that students feel, so we teach a lot of educators, they feel like they've moved from trying to figure out what the expectation is for the teacher and what they want to see to what is going to be authentic to my context, to like what I want to do with my students, or uh, let me do this assessment in kind of a unique way that allows my personality and who I am to shine. So, thinking about, so if you're familiar with like universal design for learning principles, like giving them that space to kind of think about what that expression looks like that still shows the mastery of the expectations that we have, but in ways that allow them to be creative, allow them to take risks, and then on the flip side, for us to see really amazing uh, kind of products and process of that expression coming out. And that brings something like unique and joyful into the grading process, or not even the grading process, but giving feedback on that work and seeing what they're producing has been a really valuable experience.
And I think lastly, I would just close with the connection. And I think that connection is twofold. Not only did I have a stronger connection with my students because I was working really hard to build their trust and build our community and give them quality feedback, but I also feel like I've made a stronger connection through the ungrading community, and being able to really talk about alternative grading or talk about the harm of grades with so many different people through conferences, through various channels on social media, etc. And so that connection, I think, really fuels this as well.
We're going to get into some question topics, but maybe pausing there, we talked about our experiences, but maybe this is your first time hearing about ungrading. So you may have some questions that you want to put in the chat or voice more about, like, what does that approach look like? Or maybe some more kind of fundamental questions before we go to these question topics. So we'll pause for a moment to kind of give a chance for anyone to share thoughts, or maybe you have an experience that you want to share about.
I do. I have one, and I'll just make it quick. In the early 1980s, I went to a small liberal arts college, Prescott College in Arizona, and my transcripts literally only come as about, I think it's like 32 or 28 pages. And on each page is a course description, my evaluation of my work, and the faculty's evaluation of my work. That's it. There's no grades anywhere to be seen at all. And that's the only way you can see my transcripts is all those pages. So there's a lot of ways to grade stuff, but it's just so interesting to watch all the variety of that. Like this is great. So thanks for bringing this up. It's good.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks for
Todd.
sharing. Yeah, and we had two questions in the chat as well. So for both Tyler and I, our university does require a final grade at the end, a letter grade at the end. And so we do have to give a letter grade. And then as far as ungrading goes for my courses, I do different variations depending on the course. So initially I was fully ungraded. I still do that with my teaching and learning theory course, but then I also teach an undergraduate research course that I do minimal grading because I found that the undergraduate students needed a little more structure, and that was one way to help do that. And then another course I teach, I do specifications grading. If I do a teaching as research course, that one had specifications grading. And so it just kind of depends on the course that I'm teaching. My courses at Georgia Tech are all face-to-face. The courses that Tyler and I have done our research around were all fully online, asynchronous courses that did not require live synchronous sessions, but I did have optional synchronous sessions that students could attend if they wanted to.
And for mine, I think like Karen explained, I do a little bit different depending on graduate or undergraduate. It looks, I would say, kind of like a minimal grading at the undergraduate level, just giving students a little bit more kind of guardrails, and having that motivation of the grade is something that I think we just carry with us from third grade on. And so there's some elements I think of support to consider of what undergraduates need, that maybe the motivations for graduate students may differ, and just the maturity level of the student involved. And then I teach in a fully online program, and so I do we don't the whole program, just because we've got a variety of faculty in the program, is not ungraded or using alternative grading. But what I see it as a valuable way. So it's an instructional design and technology program. So it's a way for me to not only practice this, but give students exposure to different assessment methods in an online environment. And so try to give them a couple variations of the alternative grading that we looked at. The one I guess that I had trouble wrapping my mind around with specifications grading. And I think that just comes to like, what are your values and what do you bring to the course? And that was one that just didn't seem to fit my own teaching approach.
Yeah, and as far as like what ungrading looks like on a day-to-day basis for me, most of the courses I teach have a semester-long project that students complete various parts of it throughout the semester and then pull it all together at the end. I think Tyler has very similar things as well. And then we both have our students do reflection journals, connection journals, whatever you'd like to call them. And those are really areas that I tend to see significant growth in my students. They start out kind of really just kind of surface level, but as the semester goes on, I start seeing really deep reflections from my students, and I can see significant growth from them. We both also allow revisions. So once we give feedback, students are allowed to revise and resubmit. And that feedback is typically very at the Socratic level, where we're just kind of giving them guiding questions, helping them to get on track, those kinds of things. Um, so yeah, any other thoughts or questions before we move on?
No, Todd shared the work of Jesse Stonewall. That's a really big influential writer in our journeys as well. So that's a great resource if you're looking for kind of where do I get started, a kind of primer for ungrading. Great resource there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The I think both of us kind of this idea of self-assessment and that reflective journal having a big component of metacognition, I think has been really valuable for both unpacking not only what are students learning, what are they taking away from the experience, but also how do we gather feedback about how ungrading or our approaches are working. And so that's a nice just kind of venue for students to be open and honest about here's what I'm struggling with related to this approach, or here are the things that are really rewarding to me. And so that's been a not only helpful for our instruction, but been a nice source for research as well. Karen, you want to walk us through? Are we ready for the first
Yeah, let's go on to our
idea here?
first question. And so one of the things we'd like to give you a minute or two to think about is when we shift from grades to learning, it requires a lot of intentional thought, practice, and feedback from us as the instructor. And so, in what ways would you think that this intentional focus on course design can impact the approaches you choose for your class? So we'd love to just give you a second to think of that and then share. Again, you're welcome to unmute or also add to the chat.
As you're pondering, one thing that comes to mind with me, and kind of Karen alluded to this with the flexibility and allowing revisions, is um, as I started tackling what alternative grading would look like, then it became, well, there's not, if a grade is associated with kind of, well, there's a penalization for if this is late work, and that impacts your grade. If we're taking alternative grading approaches, what does that look like? And it kind of pulled at a little seam that unraveled a lot of things that were practices that I wasn't comfortable with to begin with. And so it just kind of allowed for some freedom there. But then it made me think about my design decisions about revisions, about flexibility, and that kind of really structurally changed just some fundamental approaches to teaching and learning and what that looked like. I felt it made it a space that was built more on trust and flexibility, but there's some vulnerability with that and certainly some frictions as well. And so that was something to unpack quite a bit as I was tackling this. Rachel has a
Yeah.
great comment
Oops, sorry.
here. I'll read it and you can respond.
Yeah,
This
sorry.
course design makes me think even more about constructive alignment and student learning. I am more intentional with the what and how and why. The course design has to be engaging and relevant.
Yeah, I would say that's a really nice summary of something that I thought about as well with my course design is what do I really want my students to know? Why is that important? And how are they going to demonstrate that to me? So really thinking about those core concepts that are critical for my course instead of just throwing everything into the pot that might fall under the umbrella of my course topic. And so I think that intentional focus on those core elements and how they could be addressed is really critical as well. Um, so Karen had a question about if students need to be a certain age or achievement level for this to be productive for them. There are some K-12 people that are using alternative grading formats as well. We're starting to see a lot more, especially specification or standards-based grading in both elementary, middle, and high school. So I don't think it necessarily has to be a particular age level or achievement level to be considered a good alternative or a good option. And I don't know if anyone else has a different thought, we are welcome to hear that as well.
I think kind of related to that, what Karen and I have learned is setting students up and communicating what this will look like and giving really explicit instructions of what the expectations are because it's so different from kind of this de facto, I know what grading looks like, even though grading by default looks different from teacher to teacher. Um, so really communicating what those expectations are, being clear about what that feedback is going to look like, really providing some really strong scaffolding in terms of how you do that is probably more important than thinking about the levels and uh, what approaches are going to be best. But like Karen said, I think there's an approach that fits at many different levels, um, even though that might look slightly different depending on the level. Rachel had her hand raised there.
I did. I was just going to say, and I think Karen just jumped in there, and the why. Why did we choose this grading practice? I don't think it has ever hurt me when I am trying something new and I explain to students why we're trying and that there is evidence behind, and it's not just me saying, oh, this will be fun, let's give it a shot, that there's good evidence to support that this is going to benefit their learning. So I don't think you can ever go wrong when we are transparent and we share the information with our students. I think that's more engaging, and I also think it shows them that we are leading and role modeling best practice. And I think you get better bang for your buck with students when you are transparent in that way.
Yeah,
Love
I
that.
completely agree. And that's one of the steps to building that trust that we talked a lot about. Like, how can we build the trust with our students? And one of those is to be incredibly transparent about our design, our course design choices. So I think that I think that is a really critical piece of it right there.
I'm laughing because you have to go and talk to someone about weighted grades. We'll send you the slides so you can send that to the faculty member later.
All right. Well, I think we can move on to our next question, I think. How have these prior experiences around, or how have prior experiences around assessment impacted the way you engage with alternative grading approaches? And maybe you're not doing alternative grading yet. Maybe you're just still in the curious camp and checking it out. But what around your prior experiences with assessment has even made you curious, or if you're already doing some form of alternative grading, how did those experiences push you, or not push you, but guide you to alternative grading? We'll give you a minute or so to think on that. Yeah, and Todd said he had some, crazy experiences with grading as a student, which made him think about other ways that this could be done. And I would agree with that also. I have significant test anxiety. I absolutely hate exams. And so I think one of the things, that experience really pushed me in a lot of ways as well to think about alternatives around that as as well. Any other thoughts? Any other experiences? Right, Rachel, I agree with you. Like sometimes I would just be looking at final projects and go, what is really the difference between an 82 and an 85, or, those kinds of things, and trying to figure that out versus really focusing on what our students took away from the project and how they were able to really grow as a student from when they first started, the very beginning of that, that first scaffolded assignment, and how they were able to build on it to produce this final project or this final product. It is very frustrating to have to think about grades in that way versus just being able to really celebrate the work that our students did throughout the semester.
I remember one example where I had an interaction with a student who was arguing with me about 0.5% of a grade. And they thought that they should get that. And I was trying to argue why they didn't get that. And in the end, I got so tired of it, I actually said to the student, do you see what we're actually arguing about here? We're arguing about 0.5%. It makes no difference to whether you're going to get a B minus or a B plus or whatever it was. It makes no difference. And it was about nursing. And I said to the student at the end of the day, I'm not worried when I'm dying whether or not you get that 0.5%. It makes no difference. So what matters is that you care for me, and that you know to help alleviate my pain and so forth. And so again, that was just a stark reminder that it detracted from the learning. That 0.5% detracted from the learning and was just a waste of conversation and a waste of time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I gave the example earlier of, students who had a stellar project and all they cared about was the 2 points, or I have had students who received a B. Maybe they received like an 85 or 87, and they were just like, oh, you know what? That's good enough. I don't care. I'll take the B. And they don't even bother to look at the feedback to see where they could have improved, and use it as a learning opportunity. And then Sky mentioned, not ever being able to go back to rote memorization and looking more at competency-based assessment. And that is, I mean, we do our students such a disservice when we just ask them to memorize stuff and pick a multiple choice answer on an exam. It also feels like, testing can have so many different things. If I wake up with a migraine, I'm not going to do well on that test that day, right? If I wake up with the flu, my daughter goes to the University of Oklahoma, and literally I see parents in the Facebook page talking about how their kid has 103 fever and a note from the doctor, and the professor still says if you don't come to class and take the exam, you get a zero. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we in the classroom with those kinds of policies or ideas around assessment? But yeah, I think when we can get our students to see the value in the learning process, it just shifts who they are as a learner, going forward and in our own classes. Any final thoughts for this question? Right, exactly, Sky. That is not learner centered at all. And also, why do you want a kid that has 103 fever in your classroom sharing the flu germs with you and everyone else? All right.
We've talked about kind of reflection and the role of like reflection journals. I think this journey has caused us to think about our own teaching and learning practices. But so, how, the question here is with deep reflection, how has the alternative grading approach influenced your experience in the course? So if you've been using one of the approaches we described, or maybe you're thinking about it, um, what is that either the experience you've had or perhaps anticipating what that experience might look like? What does that mean for you thinking about that?
And while you're thinking on that, Tyler and I kind of talked a little bit about this earlier when we looked at our experiences, but having that deeper connection with our students, having the deeper reflection about who I was as an instructor and who I wanted to be, really changed significantly once I kind of had that freedom of alternative grading, I think. Yeah, and like Rachel says, just very satisfying to think about, who I want to be as an educator and staying true to those principles. Any other thoughts?
So Dr. Sky mentioned, at great expense, I changed the university I was attending to find the approach that I felt that I was looking for. So finding something that more aligned with who you are and what you wanted to be as a learner. Is that correct?
Yes, there are a handful of universities out there that are fully ungraded, that do not give any formal grades. They do learning portfolios that students start with at their freshman year and they build on it, showcasing the work that they've learned. It's my dream to work at one of those one day. It would be so nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think connecting
Yeah.
these two comments about like that it rubs off on students and that you were looking for like an instructional design program. So that's primarily what I teach. And feeling like, I don't want an instructional designer to come out of my program and say, well, that was, a B-level work and they've graduated and moved on. It felt like it opened up a conversation, especially like program wide, to be saying, these are the things I really want you to be working on in the next course, or these are the things like that you can improve and advance on in your work, and kind of opening up and more open conversation that it's not this checkbox that we said this is done and now we move on to the next thing, which I think felt very authentic to like the work, particularly in my discipline, but I think it applies in many disciplines of when you go into the a career, you're not, saying, well, okay, this was a C level work, so we're just gonna, let that feedback and then move on. Your supervisors or those you work with, the teams you work with are gonna keep working on something, revising, improving, and making a better product or making a better approach. And so I felt like this kind of using alternative grading kept those conversations open, that then assessment became kind of an ongoing conversation and seeing kind of progress for students and recognizing that students were coming at it with different experiences and being able to speak to that. But it felt more authentic to what they would encounter in their careers and in the workplace.
Yeah, what my instructional design course, I had a lot of the feedback I received at the end were students saying how much they really appreciated having a real project, a real instructional design project, because they had to actually find a client, they had to meet with the client, they had to come up with, ideas, create a module for the client, all of those things. And so they were like, this felt so useful to me. And to kind of tie that back to what Rachel was saying, like that modeling that passion about our own fields is so important. But I also think modeling that learning process, practice, revise, practice, get feedback, and revise is so important because students are often never given a chance to expand on what they might have missed or something that felt a little muddy to them. And so I think modeling that the learning process is messy and that part of it, a big part of it, is making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. Why didn't this work? What would have been a better option? Let me look at different paths that I might could consider. That's a huge part of that. And when we can model that process for our student, it changes everything and who they think they are as a learner.
We'll look at the next question, just looking at where we're at with time. But so thinking about this and your own experiences, I feel like we've touched on all of these a little bit, but has it impacted your motivation, your approach to other logistical and academic approaches to course design? And what does that relationship between students and yourself look like as you think about employing alternative grading practices? I think this is something I keep circling back to, Rachel, of uh, being vulnerable with our students and being okay with that. I try to pitch whenever I've been doing this for several years now. I always tell my students it's a pilot, and that I think gives everybody permission to feel okay if the wheels come off. And then they're more open-minded to it as well. But I think that same part is being vulnerable with my students of that I'm continuously learning and things are not going to go right 100% of the time as we're experimenting with this together, and being open to that and inviting that vulnerability for everyone in the class.
How about motivation? Anyone have any thoughts around motivation? Oh, more. Okay, so Sky mentioned having more of a mentor relationship with their learners, um, building in peer review, building in relationships and the importance of those, and the importance of those. And we know those are things employers are looking for, right? And so when we can give our students opportunities to practice and build on those skills, it can make a really big difference, I think. And when you don't have grades in the way, then it opens the path for these types of relationships to really take foot, I think. Take foot, no, take, I don't remember the
Game
word.
footing?
I don't know what word I'm trying. Take hold, take hold. I think that's where I was trying to go. Oh, sorry, guys. It is late Eastern time. So, yeah, end of the day for me here. So, my brain's not working. I think Tyler also talked a little bit about some logistical changes that he was thinking about as well, like with revisions and In my syllabus, I note that my students have a week that they can turn things in late, but like I don't abide by that. If my students message me and say something is going on, I try to work with them in any way possible to make sure that they can still be successful. And that's one of the things I tell them, like communication is key. As long as you communicate with me, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help you be successful in this class. And so I think that's a really key part, looking at those logistical policies that may not have any real value, or maybe they just need to have more flexibility. Not that they don't have value, maybe more flexibility. Logistical rigor is what Kevin Gannon calls it.
I know for me, a couple of times that I've kind of done alternative grading and then gone back to traditional based grading. For example, one time it was students who were new to an online program. It was probably their first time doing an online course coming back to school. And so I didn't want to rock the boat too much. I knew that they would have a lot going on of just getting situated in an online environment. And so I went back to traditional based grading. But it was my first time kind of after ungrading and I just felt like I didn't know these students and I couldn't figure out like just so demotivated on my part, like just not um feeling like I was connecting with anybody. And a lot of it was I had built part of that ungrading process with the reflection journals that we talked about. And so that was a key piece of where I felt like I was missing their voices and getting to know them really well. And adding back in, even if it's a traditional based grading approach, I think did wonders for kind of that level of connection. But at the same time, I felt like just the environment we were creating when we were focused on learning and deprioritizing those grades and kind of the numbers associated with it really impacted just the experience for all of us and the level of trust and relationship building that we could have. And so that was a significant factor that made me think maybe I just want to stay with this for a while because of the way it's shaping our learning environment together.
Yeah. We are running out of time, sadly. So we love to collaborate. We have both of our contact information here. We will also upload the slides to the Discord channel as well. But there are some ways that you can still connect with us. We are officially working on our faculty experience study. We will actually have an action and research session tomorrow, right? At 2? No. Yeah, tomorrow
2 p.m.
at
Mountain
2.
Time.
Yes, 2 p.m. Mountain Time if you would like to join that, and officially share your experiences. We also have been doing a lot of work, or beginning a study looking at students' experiences going from an ungraded or alternative graded course back to a traditionally graded course and what that experience looks like. And we have a super small sample size right now, but it's very interesting. Some of the things that we're seeing, mainly students being more motivated intrinsically, students having a lot more confidence as a learner. And so I think those are really cool things that can help support the alternative grading movement. So if you are interested and participating or having some of your students participate in that study, please let us know. We are more than happy to connect and collaborate.
Thank you everyone for sticking with us through the end of the day, and we're excited for tomorrow and for the all the opportunities for further learning.
Yes, we have about 4 minutes left, so we're happy to hang around if anyone has any additional questions. Otherwise, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of the week and enjoy the rest of the conference. I guess we could stop the recording.